my case, how I ended up in Vienna, it was actually a love story as well. I met my ex-wife. She's the mother of my son, and we met 2006, I think. I think not, it was actually. Later on, we traveled together. I wasn't traveling in Brazil. She was traveling too. And we traveled together in Brazil for 5 months. And then she needed at that time to get back home. After 3 months, I come up to visit her. And then I stayed here quite a while, and then moving forward and back to Brazil. And then one day we decided to get married just so that both can stay in the same country, the same place. That's a very common case with international relationships sometimes.
How long have you been here? When was this?
Right now, it was 2006, my first contact with the country and the language. Right now, I would say on and off, guess 14.5 years. Yeah, it's a quite a long time.
To start with, I'm very curious. First, how would you, is there one single term to define your profession? Just jeweler or goldsmith? Because I like very much how goldsmith sounds.
Yeah, I prefer actually a goldsmith as well, because it's more like the etymology from the word or from where it comes. But nowadays we are actually more jewelers. We are not smithing. The romantic picture from someone is smithing gold with the hammer and making objects. Since the Industrial Revolution, it changed a lot. We're not hammering the whole time. We are rolling mill. There's a lot of process got covered up with machines, but I still prefer goldsmith. I think it's more in place, but
that's more romantic.
Yeah, it's more romantic as well. And jeweler, sometimes it's kind of, it can get a little bit ambiguous, because there are people who sells jewelry, and sometimes they call themselves as well jewelers,
but they are actual salesmen.
Yeah, actually, if you would think, yes.
Personally curious about what makes jewels so precious. So is it just the fact that its material, it's very strong? For example, take diamonds.
Yep.
What's so special about diamonds? Because besides the fact that I know for sure that since a marketing campaign about 70 or 80 years ago that was diamonds are forever.
Yeah.
Since then everyone's
best friend
went crazy. Yeah. So is that what really made diamonds so precious, that marketing campaign, or?
Not really, actually. To be honest with you, diamonds are not so precious as we think they are. It's a very common material on earth. It's just more a kind of cartel controlled market. They spend millions and millions every year on marketing purpose. They even hold productions sometimes to not overflow the market and slump the price. And since now we have a really revolution in the market with the lab-grown diamonds.
What is that?
Lab-grown. There are diamonds that you can grow them in a laboratory with the very specific conditions. You can create diamonds right now. Okay. We are so far on this kind of technology that we can create diamonds.
That's why they're everywhere now.
Yeah.
They don't have to dig anymore to find
No,
diamonds.
actually it would be nice if the industry would recognize, but I think it will be baby steps. Same with the fur industry on the 80s, that the main leaders rejected to start working with synthetic furs. And nowadays, a lot of big brands and designers, they don't even touch natural furs anymore. They explicit work with synthetic. And I think with the diamond industry, it's just a question of time, 20, 30 years, and we will be seeing a lot of...
But wouldn't that be called a fake?
No. They are the same material, the same atomic principles. You can separate them under a microscope and on a lot of specific gadgets and gears on a gemological laboratory. You could really tell the difference. This is a lab grown. This is a diamond who has grown in a laboratory, and this is a nature one. And one of the marked cartel monopoles called De Beers, they create a machine to separate the lab grown from the natural. But what makes diamonds very special, first is they are this stone who has the highest refraction. What it means, when the light goes in on the stone, it breaks the stones, the light the light ray apart, and you can see the spectrum, like the rainbow colors on the
like
outside.
a disco ball.
Exactly. And that's what makes it very special, durability and a lot of myth. But actually with gold and other materials that we work, they're very expensive, very hard to gather. But theoretically, they should have the same price as other things. We, mankind, give those kind of materials the price.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Aren't there other materials as precious as diamonds?
Well, there is a bunch of materials as precious as diamond. Enriched uranium.
Well, yeah, I mean, but apart these things that still look similar to diamonds, like rubies or other materials that still look kind of the same.
The second one on the hardness scale is ruby and sapphires, for example. They are very special as well, and they can cost much as a diamond do. And you have a special kind of mines worldwide who have been very known for the quality and size of the stones they delivered.
But I'm still not clear. What do people actually buy when they buy a very expensive diamond? Because I understand people might buy a very expensive computer or car because it has features that give you more comfort, that go faster, or they take better pictures if there's a phone. But if you buy a more expensive diamond that it's pure, as they say, what do you actually buy? Is it just a matter of showing off, or what do you really need it for?
Both. A lot of people buy diamonds and let on the safe. Nobody sees them. It's more a commodity, actually, because you are putting a bunch of money on something, but you have a market price value that will don't decrease like a Bitcoin, but it will not increase as well. But you have a stable form of money value in it.
It's not even that good such as an investment.
Yeah, a lot of people love and takes diamonds investment as well. But there are different sizes and they're huge and different of aspects. But the normal end consumer who are getting engaged in right now and looks for a diamond, a lot of them are just like going for diamonds because of the marketing. It's like,
do you work often with diamonds to reshape them, or
no? We just built the jewelry piece and the whole side aspects of reshaping, polishing, everything. This is lapidaries, is a cutter job to do. They have different tools and it's a totally different profession.
What do you mostly work with? What materials?
Gold, diamonds, rubies, sapphires are the materials that I most work for my clients. I work in silver as well. Sometimes as a client wishes something and it must explicit be done in silver. I don't have any problem.
What's the difference between silver and white gold?
Well, it's a huge difference because white gold, actually, there is no white gold. We need to mix materials in the white gold, in the gold alloy. The gold is yellow. And the most common used materials are palladium and a little bit of silver in this alloy. And other two materials that are as well common used are nickel and a little bit of zinc. But nickel white gold had a lot of setbacks because, first of all, it is not yellow. It is more a yellow grayish kind of color. It is not white, pardon. It's more a yellowish gray kind of color, and a lot of people are allergic to nickel. In Europe, we have luckily the European Union, they have really like norms. But Germans love norms, the European Union as well, and we only can use, if you decide to alloy our yellow gold, let's say the gold the way it is on the way the nature provides to us. If we decide to alloy it to white gold, we have to use reduced nickel white gold as a base. What does it mean? Is like when your skin get in contact with this kind of white gold, like European norm white gold, this white gold cannot transmit a certain amount of nickel ions per square inch or something like that. anyway, it's a very technical stuff. And the problem with white gold is that it's never totally white. We need, after we finish a piece, we need to give it a rhodium bath. What's rhodium is? Rhodium is one of the hardest metal that we have on our periodic system, and from the non-iron metals I'm talking. And it's one of the neighbors from platinum, and it's very hard and durable, and it has the white color like as platinum. I would say 99% of all the white gold stuff that we see on windows, they are rhodium plated. Actually, this is not the actual color of the material.
And why is it silver so less expensive than gold?
But
is it so I'm still not clear about what defines their price.
Well, what defines the price is normal market values, like the demand, and as well the process it's required to extract the material, and as well the abundance on the planet. And silver is much more abundant than gold.
Okay.
It's not so rare like gold it is.
Where is gold mostly found on Earth? Not as type of location, I mean in geolocation, in countries.
In countries. Right now, I would say that one of the main gold producers right now, Russia are producing a really good. African countries as well. We have South Africa. Canada really has. I'm talking about industrialized extraction methods and mines, not from people gold panning on rivers. In South America, in Peru, we have as well a little bit of gold extraction. In Brazil, we have as well gold, but not such kind of industrialized methods like we have in Canada, Russia, or Australia, or South Africa. Theoretically, every country has a little bit of gold, but to be extracted in industrial amounts is not for every country. Even China has some, and Japan, Austria as well. We can go gold panning, I think, in Salzburg.
What's this? What's the situation? It's still gold being pulled out from ground in the old ways, or the ways we somehow see in the internet with kids doing those jobs, like almost slavery. Is this still going on?
Definitely yes. Unfortunately yes. For sure, like I think the percentage is decreasing, but it's still, I think even in Brazil, you have a huge problem with this kind of illegal mining of gold or any kind of material, because in Amazonas, in the rainforest, and we have the state where the rainforest is called Amazonas, and in the region from Amazonas rainforest, that it's inside of Brazil, but I think generally everywhere there where the rainforest is, there is a very rich soil for gold mining and some diamonds and some minerals. What happens, a lot of illegal miners go there. Sometimes they are like a land protected from the nation because you are going in an indigenous reserve. Actually, they shouldn't be there.
Just let the microphone. Just pull the microphone. You don't have to move. Just pull it from yourself. Yes, exactly. Just a little bit. There you go. Okay, perfect.
And what we have is like a lot of people like doing illegal mining using like quicksilver, like mercury. You have even, I think you have seen a little bit like on the last year's news about the Yanomamis. It's one of our indigenous folk that are almost disappearing. They have a lot of troubles with the mercury on the water because they're fishing. They live from the fishes and from the things that they gather and hunt. And the illegal mining, like the way we see with children and everything, is still happening worldwide, unfortunately. But fortunately, it is decreasing the numbers if you would compare with 30 years ago. But I must confess as well, luckily this is not it would represent, I would say, like 0 point something on the human of the gold mining worldwide, what they produce, because you can get a huge amount of it. We work hours or weeks or months for a few grams or something like that. And a lot of people still have this gold dream, you know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately it is. I think it's nice to let it clear. Jewelry and Goldsmith and everything with the luxury sector, like there is a lot of things like extraction from stones with child labor, pollutions, and a lot of things are tagged to it, unfortunately. And I think it's a matter of time now. More and more companies will get more aware of that. There's still right now fair mined gold, recycled gold as well. There's still a lot of new labels that where you can buy your material, and they can provide you a certain kind of credibility that your gold is from this kind of resource. From this kind of source, and the resource who it was mined and was like this and that. In Austria, for example, we are very lucky. We have our gold deliver here. I think most of the companies work with the same company here because it's a kind of monopoly as well in Austria. It's called Augusta.
Okay. Where do they bring the gold from?
Yeah, they do, and they do on the website, and you can visit the industry plant and everything. A lot of their gold is just recycled gold. I think over 90-something% of their gold is just recycled
like
gold.
From people who sell
people
gold?
Who sell daily only. We walk in the front of the store. Sometimes there are a queue of people selling old jewelry, old stuff, and they remelt it and they reuse it, and they are leaders in the industry now because there is no competition.
Do your clients ask you where the gold is coming from? If it's coming from safe sources, like without child abuse and child labor?
It's getting more and more common that people are more interested about where it comes from.
It's becoming a sensitive topic, I think.
Yeah. And I like it. I really like this, that the awareness of the clients are a little bit more sensitive about these kind of topics, and they're really matter for them. Not everyone, but I would say it's getting better in this way, that people are really thinking about and thinking twice before they go and buy something from somewhere. They prefer to go to someone that's small and that they have a good feeling and they can trust. About the whole information and the supplier chain process from this person.
Do you have your own physical location in Vienna, or you work online?
No. I have my workshop. I don't have a shop, a sales shop. I have my workshop is at home as well. And most of the time I have been working for very well-known jewelry shops in the center in downtown. But I do a lot of things online as well.
Is it a waste of money, let's say, to have your own shop because anyway you get most orders online, or?
Well, in my case,
because that would mean to pay a lot of rent and to pay a lot of expensive.
For sure. Yeah, like a physical shop, it would work perhaps better. But for newcomers and start artists, is a huge process and capital that is needed to just start like a bomb on the scene. I'm prefer to stay like a low profile. A lot of my clients are recommendation from friends over friends, and a few of them as well over Instagram, the internet channels right now, my webpage. Yeah, it helps a lot. And to have a physical shop, you have really to be able to put your hands in your pocket and to spend a few thousands to start.
Yeah. Do you get more orders from females that want jewelry for themselves, or from men that want jewelry for their girls and wives?
Well, I would say both nowadays. Before, years ago, was like more the maid client trying to have a gift for his fiancé, partner, whatever, and for the beloved ones. Right now, I must confess, is increasing the situation that some females, they want to really buy themselves expensive stuff. For sure, before Corona and the war and everything.
Do you have any, let's say, somehow funny situation when a couple comes to you and the girl has to choose an expensive thing, but then the boy tried to push for the less expensive and trying to convince her that this is actually better than weighing seals to support him, to back him up, that's really the good shit?
So no, it's a funny question. Because I do a lot of my work is bespoke jewelry. I think my clients already come to me with a certain idea and budget in mind, but years ago, I was doing a different kind of jewelry, and I had enough situations like that. The guy was trying to dump the price or to convincing the girl to pick something a little bit cheaper or things like that. Sometimes it's like, it's funny to see, and sometimes like it's a little bit uncomfortable. Like, it's
because they just enter a jewelry shop and still everything there is quite expensive anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But up there is never. It's a never ending.
Do you get people that, or did you used to get people that just come there and say, just give me the most expensive thing you have for my girl?
No. As I mentioned, because I'm not like a physical shop.
Yeah, when you were working, for example, in a physical shop. Because you say it's in the city center, and I know that many people with lots of money come around there.
We had a few cases already that I could present. That the guy would like to have something very expensive, not the most expensive, but something very expensive for my girl. And I have been in a few situations like that.
What do you actually sell? Do you really sell something expensive? Or have you sold him something that was a bit cheaper, but it was a nice situation to sell it for more?
No. Our trade is there's something it's like very interesting. We still appreciate a lot of handshake trust. Even, for example, when I go to my diamond seller, it's one of the unspoken rules. I cannot go to my diamond seller and try to change his price and try to convince him, hey, make me a good price. We never argue with the diamond seller. What he says is his price, and I buy the diamonds and produce the jewelry. With him, I can try to get a special price from him. And the same is on the jewelry shop. You have fixed prices, and it doesn't matter if the guy is nice or not nice, the price are the price. You will not try to sell something that it costs, as an example, 2,000 euros for 4,000 euros, just because you look a little bit more a rich man than others. The price is a fixed price. And if someone really says he wants something very expensive, he will get something that's very special and expensive. And that's, for us, it's like integrity is very important in our business, and trust from the clients.
Do you do jewelry from the stage zero, like from the very beginning? You have just a cube with the material, or how does it
sometimes
work?
I have the grains, like the granulates from gold, and then alloy them by myself and do the whole process, making wire, making plate, melting. Start with melting.
Yeah, I was going to ask, can you explain for dummies the process?
Well,
but for us that we don't understand technically,
it's like cooking. Sometimes it's very, very similar. It's like baking a cake. You have sugar, you have flour, you have butter, you have eggs, and let's say you start with those raw materials, and then you mix all together. In our case, we melt them on a crucible, and then we put it in on a special cast iron form, and this form will be sometimes a square wire, a square rod, or like a plates. If you need some plates for work, or if you need some wire profile, and that's how we start. Actually, always. All the time we start this way. For sure, there is a lot of different ways and techniques to do jewelry nowadays. A lot of companies in Vienna already are working with 3D technology. They design and they print. They 3D jewelry. Yeah, they print it in wax, in a very special resin, and then they send to Egusa, this company that I told you that prepare everything with gold and like noble metals. They work with this from founding, refining, and casting everything, and then you get it back in gold.
How do you manage competition? Because you're mentioning big names, big corporations, monopoles.
Well,
while you're saying you work at your workshop at home.
Well, this is not easy. Actually, it's a tough job. Actually, a lot of people has the idea. I'm Goldsmith. It looks like a glamorous. Wow, Goldsmith. We work really with expensive stuff, but unfortunately, we are on the luxury side of the industry right now. On the pandemic time and as well on the war time, a lot of people think twice if they want to spend a few bucks, a few thousand, in a gift for the beloved ones, or if they just want to buy something simple, because right now we are living unpredictable times. And the competition is not easy. We have a lot of big brands, big names that you pay a lot for the marketing campaigns. They moved to overseas. They are working they are producing in Thailand. They are producing in China. They are producing somewhere. Like to say, Cartier is from Paris. They're not producing anything in Paris anymore.
Where
perhaps
are they producing?
Overseas, like in Asia, like in Billy Long countries.
It seems like a very common thing for most brands, even for other clothes brands, for example,
exactly.
to produce everything overseas.
I would say everything from shoes to cars, actually.
And I even heard that it might be different brands that they get their production in the same factories, but they just basically change the design and name. It's the same material.
Exactly. It is.
I wonder why they sell them so expensive, but I wonder even more how people buy them. Wow. For example, just buying, because it's obviously you're buying just the brand. Because how good can the material of a jacket be? It will get to some point. It will get to €300, €400 the cost, but how can it get to €5,000 for a jacket?
Well, it's all about branding and marketing and brainwashing as well.
Yeah,
the people like the young people from the biggest victims from this kind of brainwashing, showing off. Ostentation is the right name for that shit. Like they want to wear like a bag with 1,000 times the logo mark from the company YX. And to be honest, they want to pretend to look rich, but it's a kind of a less self-trust, self-confident, self-esteem on their intellectual, on their behavior as human beings, and a little bit to teenagers. But I still have like 35, 40-year-old people with the same mentality about clothes.
But it might be a huge influence from social media. But when you think of it, it might have also started from the age when television went on, because that's where marketing really became so visual and movable in a sense. And
definitely
everything they would see on TV, they would want to wear it. And it's the same thing. Everything they see on Instagram, they want to wear it, especially if a celebrity is wearing it. But as this is probably worked the same with jewelry, right?
Yeah, for sure.
As you said, people would like to buy a Pierre Cardin, you said?
No, Cartier.
Cartier,
we have like those big names like Cartier, Tiffany, and as well Chopard. We have a lot of like 5 to 10 big brand names worldwide. And sometimes people just want to go to them because of the name.
But, okay, let's take a ring as an example. Yeah. In a Cartier ring, is it written that it's Cartier?
Yes.
Do they write it?
Inside.
Inside.
Yes.
So no one can even see that that's a Cartier.
No one can know.
But the thing is that a gold is gold, even if you do it, even if Cartier do it. So what's the difference then? Why in this case someone would sell? Because I kind of understand with a jacket where it's clearly written that it's a Louis Vuitton,
even if it's fake or not.
Yes. But with a ring where they don't even see it.
Well, I think that's what a few companies could achieve to do worldwide. Not only about jewelry, it's like they aggregate value to their brand, and that's what people go there to buy. They think it's supposed to have a better quality, a superior quality, but in case of jewelry, gold is gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Cartier, for example, they have a very specific shape of bracelet. This kind of bracelet you see from far away, you see it from Cartier. It's not written Cartier, but
it's a design.
Yeah, the design, everyone knows is a Cartier. And it isn't, I understand this point. If you want to have a specific, this kind of piece that everyone knows, okay, it's from them. But a normal wedding ring or engagement ring
doesn't make sense.
Actually, doesn't make sense. And I had a friend once. He asked me if he want to get engaged, and asked me, Fabricio, I would like to have a solitaire, but my fiancée would like to have some Tiffany. I told her I will not help Tiffany to get more rich. I would like to make our engagement ring.
Nice.
And I could offer for him a nice design from a piece that I developed with him together, and even a bigger stone with cheaper price than if he would go somewhere else. As an example, you could even get something that you have your own touch in it from thoughts and forms and design, and even perhaps a bigger stone inside.
Yeah. How can we spot, for example, I see online, I want to look, let's say, for a ring.
Yeah.
And I see websites and they say, I'm not really looking. If I'm looking, I would come to you, but I'm speaking as a listener.
Yeah.
So I check for a ring online and it says that it has this amount of gold and this amount of diamonds. How can one make sure that this is accurate and true?
Well,
let's say it's not a famous website, but it's just a regular website. It's not Cartier. It's just...
Yeah, no, let's say like some one man standing brand behind, and they're from Europe. Well, actually, per law, he must offer what is described on the website. You have to trust him.
Yeah, we can't verify.
That's what you could verify later on.
If I go there with you, yes.
Yeah, or if you buy and let someone prove it, you can verify actually. But while buying, in the moment you need to take your decision. Well, it's.
Do you get often people asking you to check if what they bought is fake or not?
Long ago, yes, I had a few people, even friends, ask me, this is good or not. And I say, nowadays I say to them, hey, sorry, that's not my job to be your
proof checker or something.
Proof checker or accountant to you buy somewhere else, you wanted me to check. It's kind of weird as well.
Yes, it might sound also offensive. But what if you offer it as a service?
Well, no, I'm more in the creative process of doing a jewelry piece and not like proof checking if it's real or not. If I would take this survey, it would be wasting my capacity, wasting my time in what I'm good.
That's completely true, and I like that you have made this decision. But are you able to just spot, let's say, a ring, if you take it in your hand, if it's gold or not gold? Or you have to look at it closely with those lenses?
Yeah, I would have to look under the loop, and even sometimes make a scratch test, like with the acids. Only by look and weight is very hard to tell if it's gold or not. We have even huge scandals worldwide where people, like huge companies bought, I don't know how many kilos of gold, and later on it wasn't gold, it was wolfram, because the density is very close, and it was like a bar from wolfram just with a gold layer around it, and companies like Egusa, who works huge amounts of material, bought it. It was a scandal, and it wasn't even gold. Even those big brands with a lot of equipment and big companies, actually, they are as well sometimes victims from falsity and just like people, criminals pretending to sell you something that actually it isn't. And in my case, for example, the pieces I do, I have my trademark. There's just like a punch. I hallmark all my pieces. And in Austria per law, if you buy one of my pieces and we go to a labor and let it check, and like we said, it's 18 carats gold or sterling silver, and the labor says, the amount of silver or gold is not exactly what the guy is stamping it. You can suit me in the court, and I need to pay you back. And if it happens for the third time, I lose the rights to work with gold and silver, to be a goldsmith.
Well, that's a nice market regulator.
Yeah, I like it. It's for example, in Brazil, we don't have this kind of regulation, even in USA.
Where?
USA. Everyone can do what they want, Everyone can be a goldsmith and start something and start
without a license, without anything.
Yeah, you don't need a license. And here you have a lot of specifications.
Is it a popular profession in Brazil?
Not really, actually. Not really.
Aren't there jewelry shops every now and there?
Well, we have very renowned jewelry shops as well. I think the two most renowned jewelry shops, or even four actually right now. It's Hallstern. It's like Handstern. You even can find a lot of this kind of stores and duty frees in airports. Other one, it's very prize winner, like design. He won, I think, 2 or 3 times the Red Dot design competition. Is the Antonio Bernardo. There is a newcomer right now. Is already 20 years on the market. I think is Arabartanian. He has really impressive design, and sometimes even when in the Oscar time, you have a few celebrities wearing some of his pieces. And the fourth one, it's one of my favorites, is Silvia Furmanovic. She has a completely different way to work with gold. She travels the world finding very interesting handicrafts specialized in very few techniques, and she uses like weavers, like rug weavers to just weave like a 4 by 3 centimeters rug for like as earrings, like a Persian rug, but in miniature for a ring, and work with people who carved shells in China or something like that. And in Brazil, she had I think 2 or 3 projects ongoing with some of our indigenous people, just for them to weaving some bamboos and some shapes and so. And she mixed a lot of wood and all kind of materials with gold. Just like it's not only gold and stones, and you have a lot of wood, seeds, feathers, and a lot of stuff.
But I couldn't help but notice that the names that you mentioned doesn't seem like Brazilian last names. You mentioned, how was the last one? Stankovic? Furmanovic. Then the first one was something that ended with Stern.
Yeah.
So they're not from Brazil.
No, well, they are Brazilian, but nobody's from Brazil. Yeah, original from Brazil. We are the most mixed country in the world. We have all kind of names and surnames. The funny thing in Brazil is like even Wagner. I have friends at school. Like the first name is Wagner. He is like
the first name.
Yeah, the first name. We had a president. His name was Washington Luiz. We have a crazy.
Well, I would say that I somehow understand more North American names because it's pretty close, and probably the influence is huge.
Yeah, it is.
But from overseas name.
Now we have a lot. Italian names, Spanish names.
Your name is sort of Spanish-Italian.
Yes, Portuguese name, Portuguese Spanish as well.
Yeah.
My first name is like Fabricio, is a classical, typical Italian name.
Yes.
And then my middle name is totally, again, it's Andrea. It's a kind of normal name, Andreas. And then my family name are like totally Portuguese, Spanish. But we have a lot of, in Brazil, we have a lot of German, Austrians. We have even the second, actually outside Germany, the only Oktoberfest in the world that can be called Oktoberfest is in Brazil.
Are those the Germans that fled after the war?
Exactly.
Nazis?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And same as in Argentina, and like
yes, that's what I was.
They search for like a kind of certain climates, similar regions. In Brazil, it's like the coldest regions where the people from Germany and Austrian moved during the war, after the war, and etc. And we have as well like Finnish, like some kind of colonies as well, Polish. It's kind of crazy mix. For sure, they are not the majority of names, but it's normal for us to have names like Furmanovic, sometimes even Arabic names. We have a lot of people with Arabic names that meanwhile they are not even Muslim anymore. So, you know.
Because I like to ask about the Germans and Austrians that fled after the war. Is there any certain distance or behavior that other people have towards them now, in a sense that they are coming from Nazi families?
No.
They did what they did, and then they left their countries and went to Brazil.
Well,
any sort of racism against them? Or?
From the Brazilian side, actually, we have none. You could face more this kind of pondering thoughts here than there, because I cannot tell that everyone who flew the country and went to Brazil or Argentina or somewhere else was a Nazi or something like that. You know, a lot of people just feel because they would like to save their lives. That's a little bit kind of generalizing a concept that it's a very, very sensitive topic. But nowadays, actually, they are just normal. They are not so
No one pays that much attention.
No, no one gives a shit about them.
Yeah.
It's like they are just normal like us. For sure, they are all white, have green or blue eyes, and where they live right now in Brazil is the richest areas.
So they are
regions.
also now they are doing economically well. That was my next
they're
question.
really doing economic well. I must confess.
Because they came there with money, they immediately bought a house and
I
opened
guess
businesses.
and they work hard as well. They come there with money, with a different approach. They doesn't arrive in Brazil with nothing in their pockets. A lot of them already come with some kind of savings to invest and to start a business or starting a small industry. Or buying a little piece of land and starting a farm. And we the same, we have a lot of Jewish community in Brazil as well that arrived on the same kind of situation as well, fleeing from Nazis that they ended up in São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro. And they come up to us in Brazil with a different mindset and setup. Not to work as a physical laborer, so already like almost as owner of something.
But it's interesting that you say that also Jews and Nazis flew there in the same time and all over Latin America. And I'm very curious what happened when they met again in Latin America. And it's like, oh, you again here?
Yeah.
What now? Did it happen that a new conflict started, or once they were over there, they didn't really care anymore?
I think when they went there, they both were happy that they both still alive, and a lot of they tend to forget and not talk about a lot of things in the history of humankind. And they went to different regions actually. The Jewish diaspora to South America, I think, went more like straight on to capitals like Rio de Janeiro, like inside state capitals, not the country capital, but like every kind of state has his own capital, like São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro. Because one thing is, a lot of people don't know, São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro is like Salzburg. At the same time, the state is a province, and the capital of this province has the same name of the state.
It's like New York.
Yeah,
it's New York City.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that is very, very interesting that they flew on different areas. The Nazi, but I couldn't tell only Nazi because I think it's a little bit too generalizing something that's not. A lot of family just flew because they wouldn't like to fight the war. A lot of them, they flew explicitly to not go to jail here. With the Jews, they flew to survive, and they went more to São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and other kind of province capitals. The Austrian Germans migration went more to the cold areas in Brazil that is similar to the areas here where they used to live.
Yeah,
but it's a very, very interesting anecdote. Like, what would happen if both meet like on the airport one day and say
there is a brand new movie that it's a cooperation between Poland and Argentina. It's called My Neighbor Adolf.
My Neighbor Adolf.
You heard about it?
No, I haven't.
You should check it out because it's very relevant of the story. It's about Polish Jewish who flew to Argentina after the war, and suddenly he finds out that his neighbor is Hitler. That who also apparently that this theory that Hitler went to Argentina. So he finds him there. He tries to sue him, but it's very interesting aspect of what would really happen if your neighbor, you're a Jew and your neighbor is a Nazi.
Wow,
it's like, oh shit! I traveled so far and here again.
Yeah.
Staying a bit on the political side, I heard that the president is not doing well in the sense of being embraced by the people. What's going on with the president?
You mean the actual president Lula or Bolsonaro?
That's part of the question, because I'm not very refreshed regarding, because I know there was this president a few months ago.
Yeah, the former one, Jair Bolsonaro.
Yes,
it was like I could say the same thing like was the Brazilian Trump. A little bit worse and stupid than Trump, than Donald Trump.
But who was against him? Did the Brazilian people like him? And because Trump was really liked by the Americans.
Well, to confess to you, actually, this is it's a corruption case involving a lot of WhatsApp and Facebook fake news media, and we have a lot of elderly people that they got the first smartphone 10 years ago or 5 years ago and learn how to play with WhatsApp. And there have been a lot of fake news going on a lot of WhatsApp groups. And for some fake news, like making good side for the former president Jair Bolsonaro, and a lot of a little bit conservative and right-wing mentality people tend to stick with him, not knowing that they have been brainwashed actually, because a lot of news was just like edited, photoshopped videos and everything. It was not even real. Like a misinformation is a lot of things. That's the way the guy won the elections with us. Like he got like 56% votes by the first time he got elected. And it was really clear to us that in Brazil we have inside civil war between poor and rich and middle class. The problem in Brazil is like socially speaking, is like the middle class feels more like they pretend to be rich. They would like to be rich, and at the same time, they hate the poor. And it's a kind of messy situation because we need education and we need infrastructure so that everyone could have and get access to the same kind of information, health system, and education. What is not happening in Brazil is that the social class got such a disparity and discrepancies that we have this kind of very, very rich people, like the billionaires in Brazil. We have a few as well. And we have the upper middle class and the middle class and the poverty line. And the upper class, they are not happy when the daughter from their housekeeper or house cleaner goes to the university. And that's something that is a huge social problem that we need to solve in the coming years, that the mentality must be changed, that even for the rich people, they should be able to see the profit if everyone can go to the university and everyone could get the same access to information as anybody. Like the worst example is like the public universities in Brazil. They are the best universities in the country. Even two of them on my state, one is on my town in Unicamp, and the other one is the University from São Paulo. They were ranked like under the 100 most influential universities worldwide. The 100 best. Let's say they rank on the list from the 100 best universities in the world. The problem is they have like a 3-day trial test to get in. And a lot of people who come from the public school, like I went my whole life in a public school, and I'm proud of that. A lot of people who come straight from the public school, they can achieve to pass over this test to visit a totally free university, the public university from Brazil.
Why they make the test so hard, or what?
That's a problem. That's a good question. Why they make the test so hard? On the other hand, the people from middle class and who can afford to pay the whole life for the kids to go to a private school,
they pass the test.
They pass the test,
which means that it's not the test; it's the people who
the education
accept. Yes, the system, the education system.
The education, and
they don't want poor people in because apparently they consider public school for poor people, right? Yeah,
and that is changing right now. They still included some quotes like some kind of, we need to have 5% free entries for Black people, indigenous people, female, and something. They start really right now trying to manage how people get in. And what's happened next is we have a few good private universities. The poor people who went the whole life to the public school, sometimes the family needs to save money if they can, or if they couldn't. They need to take a credit from a bank or for some institution to pay for the private university, like in USA almost.
That's like in USA.
And that's totally contradictory because the best university, the people who get out from them will get the best jobs. But who get out and in and out from a public university most of the time are people who already have such kind of financial stability and not the poor. Definitely not. And this is something that we need to change soon. And as an example, the minister of the economy minister from the government from Bolsonaro, he even said once he said like, oh, on the television, like public speaking, university isn't for poor people.
That's what he said?
Yeah. It's like such kind of stupid mentality. I'm Brazilian. I'm very proud of my country in certain aspects, but like politically speaking, it's a real disaster.
What kind of family does Bolsonaro come from? A rich family?
Well, I think no, it's not a rich family. I think it's such kind of lower middle class family, and then
Did he go to university?
No, never. He went to
never?
Never. He went to the army.
How can you become a president if you haven't been to university?
We haven't even clowns who went to the Senate, and well, in Brazil everything's possible.
No, I mean, I understand that they can buy a university degree and something, but to publicly say that they haven't been to
okay. It's okay. The other president as well has never been to the university, but knows more about politics and democracy than Bolsonaro. Because he was an active and at the syndicate of the metallurgists in São Paulo. It's Lula, the current one, the president. But Bolsonaro went straight to the military school, to the army.
So probably that's considered a school because it's considered a university or something, but an academy.
Yeah, but not in the scene of learning something like technological or engineer or something. No, he went like just to the army, and he got like deserted or expulsed from the military when he planted some bomb trying to explode something as an act, like almost a terrorist, fighting for some salary increase, and then he got kicked out from the army.
And then
he started his politic life. He went before becoming president, he spent I think 13 years as a deputy or something like that. Never had one single law or project passed under his under the time he served as a deputy.
How long was he? 4 years? The 30 years, you mean?
30 years as a deputy, like working as a politician.
And as a president?
As a president, for me, it was a massacre what he did during the COVID pandemic. For me, it wasn't right what the guy did.
The president in Brazil is the highest political power, right?
Yes.
Not the prime minister.
Yes. It was a president. We have federative republic, and we have like the
It's the same as in the USA?
Yeah, exactly.
With governors in other states?
Governor in other states and deputies and everything.
What happened during the pandemic?
It was really like after USA and India, I think we are the third country with the most number of death. The death toll was really huge in Brazil. And the thing is, the guy was just like showing off in the public speaking and say, you don't need to care about anything. You don't need to use a mask. It's just a flu. And he just like ridicularized it, saying like it's just like a little flu, actually. It was the words he used in Portuguese.
Little flu?
Yeah, gripezinha. And later on, there is a real scandal, like Pfizer offered Brazil a lot of lots from the vaccine, and they reject, I think, 7 emails conversation with Pfizer, they rejected. And they changed, I think, during the pandemic, they changed 3 or 4 times the health minister.
Why is it so? Why the health minister while Bolsonaro was making decisions?
Exactly. The first one was a really good one, actually. Really a doctor and a researcher doing the job as a health minister, and during the pandemic, he has totally like a scientific approach to the pandemic. Other than Bolsonaro, who was just like a fucking crazy mental approach to the pandemic. And he said, hey, people, stay home if you can, like keep distance and things like that. And Bolsonaro telling the people exactly the opposite. And then Bolsonaro kicked him out. Took the next one as well, huge trouble, problems, almost the same situation. I think was 3 times. The third one was like from the military, actually from the army, and was like a doctor or something, and he was just doing what Bolsonaro says.
Finally, he found a puppet.
Exactly, and that's really. And I think we lost, if I'm not wrong, 700,000 people, something like that.
Yeah. And now Bolsonaro is gone, and what's with the new president?
Well, the new president now is back. It's not kind of angel. It has a huge corruption scandal on his
What wing is he? Also right wing?
A left wing.
Left wing.
Left wing. He's from the Workers' Party, and he's as well never have visited the university. But
that's very funny, interesting fact that you're telling me about Brazilian presidents, one after the other.
Yeah, that's classic. But this one, as an example, he's from a really poor area in Brazil. He faced poverty as a kid, like food escapes and things like that. And then the family moved from this region to São Paulo, and he started working in industry, like as metallurgical industry. And he very quick, like engaged himself in some of demonstrations and strikes in the metallurgic scene, and he became like the president from the metallurgic syndicate. And
so he's a socialist, almost a communist.
Yeah, socialist, almost a communist, but not a communist at all. It's just like the ideas are more like, let's share what we have.
It sounds socialist. Like a lot of socialist parties all over the world nowadays that they come in power as socialists, but right away they switch mode. Yeah, they become completely capitalist.
Yeah, or corruption.
Yes, and corrupted. And I was wondering that this might happen only in small countries like my country and stuff. But when you say that, how big what's the population of Brazil?
The population in Brazil approximately must be right now 240 million.
That's huge. That's almost like the US.
Yeah. No, the US, I think there are
350.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's in that less. population range. Let's say it's not a billion and it's not 500 million, and
not India and China, but comparison to US.
So to manipulate so many people,
well,
how is it possible? Like, what's the deal that they have? That are there so many poor people they can't leave their job for an hour and to go to demonstrate, right? It's that the thing that they do.
It's kind of oppression for sure is one of the things, and another very interesting aspect to see and to recognize when you look up over the ex-colonies around the globe. Besides Australia and New Zealand, but they are not even colonies, they are part of the Commonwealth. All these kind of countries who were colonized by Spanish, Portuguese, French, Dutch, Belgian, and UK and England, none of them could achieve this status of a first world country until today. It's like this post-colonialism mentality and the way they got taught how to build a country there, it was still let us in trouble until nowadays. This mentality, this capitalist mentality, this like exploration mentality, corruption mentality, like what is you want to take the most out of it and having no scruples, just bending the laws, doing things that shouldn't be done, having no ethic principles. And nowadays, I must confess to you, a lot of companies from first world countries, multinationals, goes to those kind of countries like Brazil, India. As classic example, Johnson & Johnson. If I buy some cotton earbuds or something like that, here you have the stick is a paper. It's like kind of cardboard paper stick. In those developing countries, third world countries, this kind of fucking stickers still be made out of plastic because it's cheaper. Another example, if I go to the supermarket and I buy the mayonnaise from Heinz, here's you will get the same mayonnaise on a glass in vase. In those countries, will be made out of a plastic.
Here, I also bought it in plastic, and I have it in my fridge now. I can show it to you later.
But you have the press one, but you still have the glass option as well. As a pot, as a pot, you have the press option, like
the one I have. Yes, that's the one I have.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're saying that in the supermarket, I could have chosen also between this and the glass one.
The glass one, actually.
Okay.
And to us, we don't have the glass option to choose. It's only the plastic. The one you press like a...
Yeah. Because that's the cheaper one.
Yeah, it's cheaper to produce as well.
Plastic and also cheaper to sell, and probably no one would buy a more expensive mayonnaise just because it's in glass. Is it the awareness for the environment so little in Brazil?
No, we have...
Because especially after the Amazon's fires, when was it? A couple of years ago?
Every year, every time.
Right? But there was one time that was big news for a long time.
Well, I think it's 2 or 3 years ago was a huge
But
problem.
Is it always like that?
No. But every year we have a lot of football fields that they burn down from the rainforest, unfortunately.
On purpose?
Yes.
So they can
they can use the land to grill soja or to grill like pastage for the herds, and it's like,
well, at some point we are also
contradictory.
Yeah, but to add to this, I would say that we are sort of also a bit of privilege to have enough commodities and incomes in this country, so we can think about environment as well. But think about those guys who have to burn down a forest so they can plant a few more things so they can feed their families. On one side, it's also still government fault that have left the people so poor they have to burn forests down so they can feed their families. Well, I can blame them in the legal sense, of course, because you can burn forests down, but in this social sense, in a society sense, I can't blame them that much, because what they gonna do?
Well, that's true. The tiny families sometimes they got paid as the family provider. Sometimes, let's say in this region for sure is the male, and you have some landowner and he says, hey, I pay you, I don't know, $200 a day. Go there and cut me, I don't know how many trees down.
Yes.
You have nothing to feed your family. For sure, I would say yes as well.
Yeah.
If you were there,
what are you going to do?
My kids are crying, hungry and everything. And that's the problem. As I said, they keep the people in such a poverty line that they can just manage to do whatever they want to them. And there is nothing to complain about it sometimes. In other hands, we had a tiny, huge scandal from a Norwegian company who invests to buy some Amazonian bonds to save the rainforest. And underneath this scheme, they have been like sponsoring the deforestation from the forest. And they got caught in kind of scandal. And you can see even sometimes companies from countries like Scandinavian countries, they are very, very, very high intellectual countries and with a certain type of morality and ethic principles. Even those companies there, they do sometimes bad things in such kind of third world countries and developing countries.
Well, one of the reasons that a lot of companies are so big, it's because they have done so many illegal things. It's not so easy to get that big by being just 100% honest. I mean, it's not impossible, of course, but if you go up too quick and you go up there very quick and so high up, then it's the chances that you've done something wrong are high.
Well, let's get to Nestlé example.
Who?
Nestlé.
Yeah,
yes, you can see
yes.
Right nowadays.
Well, actually, the coffee that you're drinking is from Nestlé, and it's the Brazil taste. I got that for you.
Thank you. I think they are doing better today, but they have the 80s scandals, and they are trying to clean up their image. But we all know on the past what they did.
That's what I was just going to say. That they are doing better in social media, in marketing, but most probably they are still doing the same thing they used to do in the background.
I don't want to blame anyone, but I guess
because it's the way they work. If they just change it completely, they're not working anymore.
And it's hard to control.
If they had worked the same way for 70 years, for 100 years or 50 years, and they start to change their image for 5 years, that means how can they change completely? They can't.
Yeah, and it's very, very hard to control those big brands working somewhere else in the world. We have a huge scandal as well with banana from the Dominican Republic with fair trade symbols, and the guys went there. A lot of people working underneath the fair trade lines that the company tells us that they do. You have like a minimum wage and this and this and that. You have a lot of documentaries on YouTube where they got just to fiscalize some kind of those farms, and people are fleeing right now in the middle of the plantation because they don't have either papers or, that's, I think, a lot of people talk about civilization and everything, but I think we are just going backwards actually. And this whole technologies, everything, what helps us. I really like technology. I'm a guy. I like this tech word as well. But I see as well, they were just speeding up our destruction as well. We are
definitely. And
as more we advance, as more close we get to an end.
Yeah. And if you notice, all those big guys that are inventing all this technology shit, it comes a point when they all buy a house in the countryside and they grow their own food.
Yeah.
and they are going completely backwards.
Yeah.
And now that thing is luxurious, to have the chance to buy a house in the countryside and have enough money so you can live there and just grow enough food and eat real food from the ground and
without
clean
seeds
food
and everything.
Yes. So that's those guys, they know for sure that the rest of the world is already fucked up, and they know that because they do it, and they go there to live their own life. I was reading this book the other day. It's called Stolen Focus.
Okay.
It's quite a bestseller. So I just had it at my home. I didn't buy it. I don't like when they write New York Times bestsellers and stuff.
Wow.
It is what
Sometimes
it is.
there is good stuff.
Sometimes there is good stuff as well. And this book was quite all right. It wasn't great. And it was talking about how social media started to send notifications for people. Before that, they weren't sending enough notifications. So there were some guys over there in Silicon Valley working how to engage people more on social media. And the funny thing is, and I'm coming to our conversation, is that the guys that invented to make social media more engaging, the notifications, I get a notification that Fabricio just posted in a long time.
Yeah.
Those guys are not on social media at all.
Yeah, no,
those guys don't show social media to their kids at home. They don't allow their sons and daughters to use the cell phone at home at all. And that's what the book was telling about. The guy that used to work there used to tell the story.
I think a lot of guys told them the kids don't have access to iPad and to this and that. Well, it's totally understandable because they know how hard it is.
Exactly. But they do it for us. They sell it to us. But it's so clear that to themselves that they don't do that harm.
Yeah. And
it's the same thing that like building and destroying the environment. But for themselves, they go on and move to the countryside, where it's fresh air and it's quiet.
Contradictory, but it's the way things work nowadays.
And it is going backwards, as you're saying. That's why I started all this thing.
I would say the social media nowadays, you could compare with the Roman times. It's the same thing like bread and wine and water, like just throwing bread to the people right now.
Show.
It's the social media feeling that we have.
Yes.
It's a mass control for me. And we are making decisions upon this kind of stuff sometimes. It's part of our lives. It's very hard to think not to be inside or to be part of it. But I really think it's nice for more people to get aware of what they are doing with their lives on social media and what they are consuming.
And what they are selling. Why are they selling it? And it really has become very, very influential. People just tend to pick their lifestyle, what they eat, what they consume, they just choose it everything from social media.
For sure.
There's no original opinion anymore, and
No.
you can even check. You can even see it visually. Most of girls look the same. Most of men look the same.
Exactly, and that for me is very, very paradoxical, because they believe, and sometimes they promote as a unique lifestyle, a uniqueness feeling. You are very unique as a humankind, or you are very special. Actually, you aren't.
But you just press that hashtag and you see like millions of people are the same way.
And you see on the streets, even on the street, if you walk, you see all looking the same thing. All right now, all with these coats, most of the time beige or brown, and all look the same right now with this old punk rocker shoes. Like,
well, now we have these Nike white socks that go all up to the half below the knee. Yeah. And then white shoes.
Yeah, from the sneakers. 90s, USA 90 socks.
Yes. And then the girls wear these leggings, the black leggings. So black leggings, white Nike socks, and white sneakers. That's the new uniform.
Yeah, and they feel very special, and they feel unique, and they feel only they have this. I don't know. I don't understand. But for sure, it's a kind of it's a mass culture, industrialization, consumption method. Well, but the funny thing is, the funny thing is, they achieve to sell your uniqueness, even if they're not selling it. And that's totally for me, it's a kind of brainwashing mentality to convince people that you are unique, and that's why you need this product. But on the other hand, you are just willing to have this product to just look similar to the kind of the social group you try to belong to, or you belong to look like the other ones. And the same happens with jewelry as well. Sometimes people tend to go to trends at the moment just to look the same, close to the other ones that they're like. It's a kind of identity as well. It's a very social.
It's declaring where do you belong, what club do you belong to. It's
it's a kind of.
If you wear that kind of ring or that kind of bracelet or necklace, it tells who do you belong to. Are you this guy or this girl?
Or to which kind of social group you're belonging to. And it's kind of the formation of the identity and their own group of friends. And for sure, you won't have people wearing the Nike shoes and everything at the same time with a Bob Marley t-shirt. And that's, for me, is something very, very specific, that the diversity are almost dying right now.
While they are promoting diversity so much. Yes. That's the irony.
And it's really interesting. And you can see, I would take the millennials, you can see the 20-something years old group of friends. You can see they all look similar. You never see one looks like a punk rock, the one is the reggae, the other one is the techno freak. No, they almost look the same. Yeah. At my time at school, one was wearing a Bob Marley t-shirt, the other one a punk t-shirt, and even sitting together and have conversation, and
they would find a way to get along anyway. Now it seems like they don't even talk to you if you're not dressed like them, or your laptop doesn't have the same stickers on the back as they have. Funny times, though.
Yeah, that's really mad times we're living in. It's really interesting.
And it's going to be so fun to see 10 years later the faces of these people, that when they're going to look back to their pictures and they say, oh, this is me, but we look exactly the same like everyone is, because most probably they will think that at some point they will change. Of course.
I hope. I hope for that.
It doesn't mean they will change for good, but they for sure will change.
Hopefully for good.
And they will see themselves, they look all together. There's a picture of 5 friends, 10 friends, and they can barely spot themselves in the picture because they all look the same.
It was me there, or you? Oh,
yes. I'm confused. Was this guy in the picture? Yeah. But it's still, it might seem like a new thing to us, but what I think is that has just spread it so much quicker in the last 5 years because of the internet. But because if you look back, the same thing has happened when TV went on for the first time in the 60s.
Sure.
So people would see something on TV, they would like to buy it the same way as they saw it on TV. They would see a haircut of Gary Cooper in the 40s, so they would want to get the same haircut as Marilyn Monroe in the 50s. For the movie. So now it's just faster because of the internet.
I think it's like this exponential growth and development that is getting even more and more accurate and quickly. Now we have perfect targeting, age groups, gender, etc. And the funny thing is, with television at that time, television wasn't a fixed spot at a certain kind of households, later on any kind of households. Right now we have this thing in our pockets 24 hours a day. Like the access to information or disinformation, whatever kind of content, it's now unstoppable. And and the target audience, I think, makes things more precise and more cruel.
Now it's so easy to define the audience. You literally can see it in the analytics of your Instagram, who's following you, what's the age.
Instagram or Facebook analytics, you can even do like advertising and decide, okay, I would like single girls or single moms, or I can just cross a lot of things I would like, from age this to that, income, everything. It will get worse, I think. It's just the start.
What's your position on this? Because you have a kid, right?
Yeah, I have a kid.
What age?
8 years old.
What does your kid have a phone already?
No, and hopefully will not have a cell phone, I think, until 12, 13. I will try to hold as long as I can.
Does the kid live with you?
Yes, 10 days a month and 20 days with his mother.
And because I hear nowadays the parents that even though they do want to keep their kids away from the phone, they say it's so fucking hard. It's almost impossible. How do you manage to not let the phone in the kids' hands?
My kid doesn't grab my phone for not even to borrow it. But my kid, for example, has access to a video game at home. In my place, he can play video game, and sometimes we play together.
In the computer or PlayStation, Xbox,
Switch. Nintendo Switch.
There's a tool.
It's offers a little bit more kind of kid content for his age, like games like Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, and things like that. It's kind of harmless games. But
he comes from school. He comes to you. Hasn't he even seen his friends with a phone, and doesn't he ask you to get him a phone?
No, right now not.
I'm sorry, I did say he. Is a he, right?
Yeah, he actually is a boy. Right now, not yet. I think even in his school, nobody has a phone. On his class, sorry.
That's interesting.
In his class, I think it's a matter of time. He will be coming home and asking, "Hey, Daddy, when I will get my phone? When will I get my phone?" The answer, in my case, the answer will be no. Actually,
but until when?
Yeah, that's it. That's the point. We need to define.
Because you're going to say no the first time, but on what reason? You have to give a reason.
Yeah, I will say no. You're too young for that. But I think would be better up to 12 years old, or even like old Nokia. Here's your phone.
Because when the phone started, I don't know your age, but when they first started to have a mobile phone, I was about 14, 15 year old.
Yeah.
So about 15 years ago or something, when they started to kick off, like no smartphones at all, phones without internet.
Okay.
And I didn't get one until I was 18. And now that I think of it, I think it was a bit too quick or something. Now they have smartphones, and you're saying that he might get one by the age of 12.
Well, what you can do, you cannot hold it forever.
This is it. So it means that in 15 years, this exponential growth has moved back to 5 years at least.
It's impressive. But nowadays, it's even like a bullying case in the schools if you don't have a phone and the other friends does, and things like that. One day will be the model. I think the first teenage years will be just to have a phone. Later on will be which kind of.
Yeah.
If it will be an Y mark or X or Z. And I think in my case, I cannot hold that so long. I think until 12. I know about friends of mine who their kids already in the age of 8, they have phone on the same school, but I wish not to do this for my kid.
Does your kid go to public school?
No, he goes to a private school.
Is it harder there to keep it non-influence, or it's not a spoiled private school with spoiled kids?
I think in the private school, my kid goes in the 6th district. It's a little bit more like even the parents are a little bit more aware of the hazards for early engaging the kids with cell phones, with internet content and everything. I think that's the reason his school, none of the children in his class has a phone and everything. Might be, I'm not sure.
It might be a bit easier here in Austria and Vienna, to be honest, because the self-awareness of parents, it's a bit higher than a lot of other countries.
Yeah,
they are a bit more traditional in here.
Yeah, very conservatory as well.
So on that side, your kid is a bit safer by growing up here.
I would say so.
Was he born here?
Yeah, he was born here.
Have you ever taken him to Brazil?
Oh, we spent last year 2 months together in Brazil. Yeah? It was great. We just flew over for the winter time. We landed up on the 1st of January. We went back on the 24th. No, on 23rd. We slept, and the next day, Russia invaded Ukraine. I can remember exact the dates because of that. And he loved that. It's like he Portuguese like just developed like so quick, and it was nice to have a nice time with him and my family and show him our fruits, animals, and juice and our beaches, and like, wow.
Is it a completely different world, right? Compared to Vienna, especially.
Even what I miss most of Brazil here in Austria or anywhere in the world, but in Austria you could think it's a little bit more than if it would be in Italian or in Spain. It's like this human warmth, like the kind of humanity and empathy feeling about, hey, just be nice with other people. You don't need to be an asshole or to answer harsh to someone. Hey, I don't know. You don't need that. Yeah. You just can be gentle and humble.
If someone is blocking your way, just say, excuse me, can I pass? Don't start.
This I don't like. I have a few problems with that here. But I miss a lot, like the mentality from the people like on the street, and we're really on helping each other as much as possible. The empathy feeling, to the willingness like to help it the next, it's a little bit higher than here, because you might need a help one day there, and here's like, if I need a drill, if I need something, I just go there and buy, and I have it. And there are sometimes you need to knock your neighbors, so, hey, can I press your, could you borrow me, could you lend me your drill? It's like more, you might need someone one day and someone might need you. That's why I think to be in good terms with people and just be nice, it's always a good thing. It's not a bad idea. And in here, the people don't need anything from nobody. That's why you can be the badass you want, or
they can get whatever they want from the government, even if they want something else. They don't have to. They have something they can apply the government for financial support, for everything. They don't have to borrow money from people, and banks do not go that wild in here as they might go in other countries when you have to apply for a loan, or I don't know. And actually, you can notice that banks here are a bit milder. They are not like, there are no high fees there are no fees at all when you transfer money within Austria. No, but even within the European Union. So all these facilities, as you say, they make them to not need anyone else.
Well, I would not use the word egocentrism, but in certain kind of ways, it's a little bit more kind of egocentrism, that people here tend to be more closed and not open. And this is one aspect you can always feel if you go to Spain. You don't need to go far away to take a country as an example as Brazil. But people are like more open to talk with someone on the underground, to talk with some stranger while you are waiting your cash out on the supermarket to cashier you or some things like that. It's like everyone on his own distance. And it's like, for me, like this social distance from the pandemic haven't changed anything. This is the way the Austrian does.
They might have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think as well. It's like
finally, the whole world is like us now.
Yeah, nothing new in Austria. It's
keeping the distance legally. Finally.
Just making it clear what they like to.
Do you speak German?
Ja. Ich kann auch sehr gut Deutsch sprechen. Das ist überhaupt kein Problem.
Yeah. But that's why I asked. So it's not the language.
No. I don't have any barriers with the language here, with German, and it's like just like the mentality. I like the Austrian as well. It's my second home on this planet. I could say I'm living here for 40.5 years. I would say 95% of my friends are Austrians. I really got integrated with the culture and the mentality from the people. Doesn't mean that I agree the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I think there are also Austrians themselves that don't completely agree with.
Yeah, I think as well. That's something you mentioned. You point out something really nice that even a lot of Austrians, they are very critical about their own, and that's something for me is the same as we Brazil. We are very we use a lot of the criticism about our government and social problems that we have and face.
Yeah.
And this is the Austrians, a lot of youth generation, like they really criticize themselves a little bit and the government as well. And
well, it's very important time to time to point the finger to yourself, not just to the others at some point.
For sure.
This is also a very individual, let's say, suggestion, not just in terms of mentality of population or countries, even regular people someday have to point the finger to themselves. But going back to Brazil, why does it have this reputation, especially Rio de Janeiro, that it's not a safe place to visit?
Well, there's a lot of movies.
Can you throw that myth?
There's a lot of movies. There's a lot of things happens in the city. It's really it's a little bit like undeserved bad reputation because the criminality in Brazil is everywhere. It's not only in Rio de Janeiro. And there is a lot of movies showing that, and there's a lot of propaganda. But actually, I lived in here for 8 months, I think. The only time I got someone stole my flip-flops on the street, but not with me. I just sat and walked a little bit somewhere, and then when I'm back, my flip-flops were gone.
But you're saying that this is normal. This was supposed to happen because you left them there.
Yeah. It was my fault, actually. And the thing in Rio de Janeiro is it's like a lot of people thinking it is the postcard from Brazil is Rio de Janeiro. And we have a lot of poverty in this city as well, but not only in Rio, everywhere. And you have a lot of street childs as well. I think my flip-flop was a kid who did. And the thing in Rio de Janeiro, because of the beauty of the city to have like the biggest megalithic stone block close to the ocean, like where the Pão de Açúcar and the Cristo Redentor are the biggest one piece of rock close to the ocean in the world, and the green mountains and the kind of flare is very magic. One of the beautiful cities I have been. But you have as well at the same time this extremely poverty line on the hills, on the favelas. And to be honest, we're getting back to the same topic like the deforestation from Amazonas. If my family is crying and I don't have government support, I don't have nothing to feed them, I will try to find another way to get to the means.
That would be stealing.
And you might do a pickpocket in Ipanema or Copacabana, or sell drugs, or do a different kind of job. And if you are searching for a job since I don't know how many months or year, you don't have now social security from the government or any kind of help, you need to improve yourself. And sometimes people tend to do the criminal ways, the illegal ways. And I understand them. And some people just do for fun as well. And the thing is, the tourists in Brazil, especially in Rio, the most victims are like 40-something, 50 plus, or pensionists, like retired people. There's a lot of pickpockets. People are traveling there with, I don't know, big gold chains and jewelry and
very exposed
with Rolex watches, like expensive watches. Hey, if you go to travel there, don't wear those things. Just wear normal jeans, a normal sneaker. Try to learn a few Portuguese phrases before you end up in the country.
That's like calling, hey, rob me. Here, I'm here.
Yeah, it's like, hey, what you are wearing right now for this guy without a job would be almost 1 year, or depends what you are wearing, 10 years of salary. For some, it's easier to go to the criminal way. It's very tempting too, as well, specifically if you are into the drug business, like working for some drug cartels in Brazil. You get paid some wage that you would never get in another kind of job. And if you grew up in a favela on the slums in Brazil.
What is that?
Favelas.
What does it mean?
The illegal constructions on the mountains where the poor people live.
Uh-huh.
Like an example was the movie Cidade de Deus. If you grew up there, it's
City of God?
Yeah, City of God. If you grew up like there, you can see all the people who are honest. They wake up early, 5 o'clock in the morning. They left their homes, they go work, and nothing happens. Nothing new happens in their lives. And you see like the drug lord working, doing his illegal business, selling drugs. As a kid, as a teenager, you feel sometimes inspired by this guy, because this guy is the business guy. He's wearing a gun. Otherwise, you would see here some people in the street with some kind of a tie and some coat and some briefcase in their hand, and they would think, this is a successful businessman.
Yeah.
For them, the successful businessman is a guy wearing a gun.
An expensive car, black windows.
Expensive car, a lot of girls that they can change sex for a few grams of cocaine, or this is the example of a successful guy, and like the gangster desire to be. And a lot of people get intimidated. The kids is a very, very huge problem, because the kids, sometimes a lot of kids end up doing jobs for the criminal organizations because of the temptation to become one of these badass. But getting back to your question, the fame from Rio de Janeiro actually is undeserved, because a lot of people would tell you it's a work hard there in this city, even living on the slums, like in the favelas. There are a lot of honest people as well. And the thing is, as you said, a lot of people goes to travel in certain countries dressing up the wrong way, I would say. Or behaving themselves totally bad, getting exposed, and not knowing only one word in Portuguese or something. If I would go to travel to some country that I say, okay, you must think we'll have to talk about the number of inhabitants, 260 millions, I think. Only 4% can speak English in Brazil.
Wow.
And it tells me, if I would like to travel to such kind of country, I would try to improve at least a few basic phrase, like how much and how are you and how can I get this or that. You don't need to have a conversation.
Does Spanish help?
Yeah, Spanish helps you a little bit.
No, not to learn it, but I mean to communicate there.
Yeah, it helps. People will understand you. Not everyone, but it's much more easy for a Brazilian to understand what I'm trying to say in Spanish than in English.
It's pretty similar. Close, I would say. Not similar, but close.
Very close. And even actually Portuguese is one of the daughters from Galego. Galego is one of the four languages spoken in Spain. Actually, could say as well, Spain is our mother.
Yeah.
And Latin our grandmother.
I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much.
And you taught me a lot of things that I didn't know about. I hope someone else learned from it as well.
Oh, I'm glad I took your invitation. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed as well spending time together and exchange ideas. I think that's what it's about.
Thanks. Let's wrap it up then.